Boy feels pain when sitting. Driver discovers the reason and calls the police. Mike Johnson had been watching through the rearview mirror for 3 weeks and always noticed the same thing. The boy in the black shirt hesitated before sitting down, making a pained face he tried to hide from the other passengers. On that rainy March morning, when the boy boarded the school bus with red eyes from crying, Mike decided he could no longer pretend not to see. It was when the boy stumbled passing through the turnstile that Mike heard a strange noise, as if something metallic had moved inside the boy's clothes. The sound was subtle, but Mike had sharp ears after so many years driving a school bus through the streets of Portland. "Good morning, Ryan," Mike greeted, trying to sound casual. "Good morning, Mr. Johnson," the boy replied, forcing a smile that couldn't hide his discomfort. Ryan Henry was only 12 years old, but he carried a weight on his shoulders that Mike was beginning to suspect was far heavier than he imagined. The boy always chose the seat closest to the door, never talked to the other students, and kept his backpack pressed tightly against his chest as if guarding the greatest treasure in the world. That morning, when Ryan sat down, Mike clearly saw the pain flash across the boy's face. It wasn't ordinary pain, it was constant, something the boy had already learned to endure in silence. "Ryan, are you okay?" Mike asked, taking advantage of a red light to turn around fully. "I'm fine, Mr. Johnson. Just a little tired," the boy replied, but his hands trembled slightly as he adjusted his shirt. Mike decided to be more direct. After 22 years of driving a school bus, he had developed a sharp instinct for recognizing when a child was in trouble. "Ryan, I'm going to stop at Mrs. Susan's bakery. Can you come with me for just a minute? I want to buy you a snack." The boy hesitated, glancing at the other students chatting excitedly in the back seats. "You don't have to, Mr. Johnson. I already had breakfast at home." But Mike had already made up his mind. He parked the bus in front of the bakery and asked the other students to wait. "It'll be quick, everyone. Ryan, come with me." When they stepped off the bus, Mike noticed the boy walked strangely, as if avoiding sudden movements. Inside the bakery, away from the curious eyes of his classmates, Mike knelt in front of Ryan. "Son, I know something's wrong. You can trust me." That's when Ryan started crying. Not silent tears of sadness, but deep sobs from someone who had been carrying a secret far too heavy for his age. "Mr. Johnson, I can't tell anyone. I promised my Grandma Betty." "What kind of promise, Ryan?" The boy wiped his nose on his sleeve and looked around to make sure no one was listening. "My grandma is really sick. The doctor said she needs a very expensive medicine every day, or else she might—" Ryan's voice trembled. "Or else she might go away forever." Mike felt a tightness in his chest. He had lost his own mother 5 years earlier and knew exactly what it meant to watch someone you love struggle with illness. "And where's your mom, Ryan?" "My mom works 2 jobs, Mr. Johnson. She leaves home at 5 in the morning and doesn't come back until after 9 at night. She doesn't even know how bad Grandma is." "And your dad?" Ryan's face closed off. "My dad left when I was 6. Now there's Ray living with us. But he—" Ryan stopped talking and lowered his head. Mike waited patiently. He had learned that sometimes children needed time to find the courage to continue. "Ray always goes through my things. He looks for money in my backpack, in my room, everywhere. That's why I found a way so he wouldn't find it." "What way, Ryan?" The boy glanced around again, then, with trembling hands, began lifting his shirt. Mike had to hold his breath at what he saw. The inside of Ryan's shirt was lined with small hand-sewn pockets, each holding coins. $1 coins, 50-cent coins, 25-cent coins. Dozens and dozens of coins that made the clothing heavy and uncomfortable. "My God, Ryan," Mike whispered. "I sewed it all myself," the boy said with a sad pride. "I learned by watching Grandma Betty sew. Every coin I get, I sew inside here. Ray will never find it, because he'd never think I carry the money on me." Mike was trying to process what he was seeing. The boy had turned his own clothes into a human safe, bearing the weight of metal against his skin every day. "How much have you managed to save?" $147.75, Ryan answered without hesitation. "But Grandma's medicine costs $230, and I need to buy a new bottle every month. And how are you getting this money?" Ryan pulled his shirt down and wiped his tears. I sell the things I own. I've already sold my video game, my toys, my comic books. And after school I go to the market to help Mr. Frank carry crates. He gives me $5 a day when business is good. Mike felt his heart break. This 12-year-old boy was sacrificing himself in a way most adults wouldn't dare. Ryan, why don't you tell your mom? She already works so hard, Mr. Mike. If I tell her grandma needs expensive medicine, she'll just worry more. And besides, if Ray finds out there's money in the house, he'll take it all. He's done it before. What do you mean? Last Christmas, my mum had saved up to buy a new TV. She kept it in a little box in the closet. When it was time to buy it, the money was gone. Ray said it must have been a thief, but I saw him leaving the house with a full bag the day before. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like the video and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now back to the story. Mike was starting to understand the full picture. The boy lived with a mother who was absent out of necessity, a stepfather who took advantage of the family, and a sick grandmother who depended on him to survive. Ryan, how long have you been doing this? Since Grandma got sick, about 2 months ago. At first I didn't know the medicine was so expensive. I thought $50 would be enough. But when I got to the pharmacy, the lady explained it was much more. And you've been carrying these coins every day since then? Ryan nodded. That's why it hurts when I sit. The coins dig in, especially when the bus shakes a lot. But I can't take them out, Mr. Mike. If I leave them at home, Ray will find them. If I leave them at school, someone might take them. The only safe place is with me. Mike checked his watch and realized the other students had been waiting nearly 15 minutes. He bought Ryan a buttered roll, and they returned to the bus. For the rest of the ride to school, Mike couldn't stop thinking about the situation. When Ryan got off, he said quietly, Ryan, I won't tell anyone what you told me, but I want to help. Can we talk more tomorrow? The boy smiled for the first time that morning. Thank you, Mr. Mike. For not telling anyone, I mean. That afternoon, Mike couldn't focus on work. He drove the regular bus route after the school run, but his mind stayed fixed on Ryan. When he got home, he told everything to his wife, Deborah. Mike, that boy is hurting himself to protect his family, said Deborah, who worked as a nursing assistant. Carrying that much weight every day could cause back problems, not to mention the marks the coins must be leaving on his skin. I thought the same thing. But what can we do? The boy is afraid to tell his mother, and if we say anything without his permission, we'll lose his trust. You said the stepfather takes money from the house? From what I understood, yes. Deborah grew thoughtful. Mike, I know a social worker who deals with at-risk families. Maybe she can guide us on how to handle this without hurting the boy. The next day, Mike waited anxiously for Ryan. When the boy got on the bus, Mike noticed he was limping slightly. Ryan, are you hurt? Last night, one of the coins tore through the stitching and fell on my bedroom floor. It made noise. Ray heard it and came to see what it was. I told him it was just my shoe falling, but he got suspicious. I spent the whole night sewing it back up, so I'm a little tired. Mike made a decision. Ryan, do you trust me? I do, Mr. Johnson. Then I'm going to suggest something. What if I keep part of this money for you? You can start saving the coins in a little box that I'll keep safe on the bus. That way, you won't have to carry it all on you, and Ray will never know. Ryan thought for a moment. But what if you forget to bring the box one day? Or if someone messes with your bus? I promise nothing will happen to your money, Ryan, and you can keep carrying a few coins just so you don't feel scared. But at least it'll be less weight. The boy agreed hesitantly. Mike stopped at a stationery store and bought a small metal box with a lock. He gave one key to Ryan and kept the other. Now you have your own safe, Mike said, smiling. For the first time, Ryan smiled back with genuine happiness. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. You're the first person who's wanted to help me without me having to explain everything. Over the next few days, Mike noticed a gradual improvement in Ryan's behavior. The boy still carried some coins sewn into his clothes, but far fewer than before. He could sit without wincing in pain and even started talking timidly to some of the other kids. But the situation at home was getting worse. Mr. Johnson, Ryan said one morning, Ray's been asking weird questions about money. Yesterday he asked if I was hiding anything from him. What did you say? That I had nothing to hide, but he didn't believe me. He said he's going to search my whole room this weekend. Mike felt a chill. If the stepfather found anything, he could turn violent. Ryan, what about your grandmother? How is she? The boy's face fell. Worse, Mr. Johnson. Yesterday she couldn't get out of bed, and the medicine she's taking will run out next week if I can't buy more. Ryan's voice broke. Mike saw tears forming in the boy's eyes. How much is left to get? $83.25. I count it every day. Mike made a decision he'd been considering all week. Ryan, I'm going to lend you that money. No, Mr. Johnson, I can't accept that. My grandma always said we shouldn't owe anyone anything. It's not a free loan, Ryan. You'll pay me back by working with me on weekends. I have a small moving business, and I always need help organizing things. How about it? Ryan thought for a long moment. You're not just lying to help me, are you? I'm telling the truth. I have a small truck, and I do moving jobs to help with household expenses. You can help me by sorting boxes and organizing things. It's light work, suitable for your age. And you won't tell anyone about Grandma's money. I won't tell anyone. Ryan threw himself onto Mike's neck, crying with gratitude. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Thank you for saving my grandma. That afternoon, Mike went with Ryan to the nearest pharmacy by the school. They bought the medicine, and Mike instructed the boy on how to properly administer the doses. Ryan, you said your mom doesn't know about your grandma's condition? She knows Grandma is sick, but she doesn't know it's this bad. Grandma asked me not to tell because she doesn't want to worry my mom. But Ryan, your mom has the right to know. Besides, she can help take care of Grandma Betty. What if she tells Ray? What if he tries to sell Grandma's things to pay off his debts? Mike realized the situation was more complicated than he'd thought. The boy was protecting not just his grandma, but also trying to shield his mom from more worries. Ryan, have you thought about talking to just your mom without Ray knowing? How? They're always together when she's home. Mike had an idea. What if I talk to your mom? I can schedule a meeting with her, say it's about your behavior at school. Then I'll explain the situation. Ryan grew thoughtful. But what if she gets mad at me for hiding it about Grandma? I think she'll be proud to have such a brave and dedicated son. But she needs to know, Ryan. Taking care of Grandma Betty shouldn't be your responsibility alone. Okay, Mr. Johnson. But you promise you won't let Ray find out? I promise. Over the weekend, Mike called Jennifer, Ryan's mom. He scheduled a meeting at the school for Monday morning before classes started, saying he needed to talk about Ryan's behavior on the bus. Jennifer arrived promptly at 7 in the morning. She was a woman in her early 30s, with deep, dark circles and clothes that showed the exhaustion of someone who worked too much. Good morning, Mr. Johnson. Is Ryan causing trouble on the bus? Good morning, Mrs. Jennifer. Actually, the opposite. Ryan is one of the best students I've ever transported, but I found out something you need to know. Mike told her the whole story, from the coins sewn into the clothes to Grandma Betty's health condition. Jennifer listened in silence, and when Mike finished, she was crying. My God, Mike. My son has been going through all this and I had no idea. What kind of mother am I? You're a mother who works hard to support your family. You can't be everywhere at once. But my mother-in-law, Mrs. Betty, raised me after my mom passed. She's like a mother to me. How did I not notice she was so sick? According to Ryan, Mrs. Betty didn't want to worry you. Jennifer wiped her tears. I'll talk to her today, and I'll take her to the doctor to see if there's better treatment. What about Ray? Ryan is afraid he'll find out about the money. Jennifer's face hardened. Ray has some gambling issues, I know that, but I didn't know he was messing with Ryan's things. That'll have to change. Ryan is a very special boy, Mrs. Jennifer. He has a huge heart and incredible determination. I know. Sometimes I think he is more mature than most adults out there. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. That afternoon, when Ryan got on the bus, Mike noticed he seemed different, more tense, more worried. Ryan, did your mom talk to you? She did, Mr. Johnson. She cried a lot and apologized for not noticing anything. She said she'll take care of Grandma Betty from now on. Isn't that good? It is, but now I'm worried about something else. My mom talked to Ray about him going through my things. He got really angry and said if he finds out someone is talking behind his back, he'll take action. Mike Johnson felt a knot in his stomach. What kind of action? I don't know, Mr. Johnson, but he had this look, like he was planning something bad. That night, Mike couldn't sleep well. He talked to Deborah about the situation, and they both agreed it might be time to seek professional help. Mike, this family needs support. The mom is overwhelmed. The boy is taking on too much responsibility for his age, and this Ray seems like a serious problem. But if we go to the authorities, they might take Ryan away from his family. Not necessarily. There are family support programs that can help solve the problems without separating anyone. The next day, a rainy Tuesday, Ryan didn't show up at the bus stop. Mike waited 5 minutes past the usual time, but the boy never came. At school, he found out Ryan had missed class. Mike was worried but decided to wait until the next day to do anything. On Wednesday, Ryan appeared at the stop, but he was visibly shaken. He had a bruise on his arm and avoided looking directly at Mike. "Ryan, what happened?" "Nothing, Mr. Johnson, I just tripped at home." But Mike knew the signs of abuse when he saw them. He'd grown up in a troubled family and could recognize when a child was being hurt. "Ryan, you can trust me. What really happened?" The boy looked around to make sure no one was listening. "Ray found out about the little box you gave me." "How?" "He followed me Monday morning, saw when you handed me the box with the money to help pay for Grandma's medicine. He got furious, said I was making him look like a thief. And what did he do? He took all the money from the box, said it was to pay a debt he had and couldn't wait anymore." Mike felt deep anger rise in his chest. "And your mom?" "She was at work. When she got home, Ray had already left. I told her, but when he came back, he denied everything, said I was making it up." "What about your grandma's medicine?" Tears started rolling down Ryan's face. "It runs out today, Mr. Johnson, and I don't have any money left." Mike made a decision he'd been avoiding for weeks. "Ryan, enough. This has gone too far. I'm calling Child Protection Services." "No, Mr. Johnson. If you do that, they might take me away from my mom and grandma." "Ryan, there are people trained to help families like yours without separating anyone. Trust me. But what if it doesn't work? What if they don't believe me?" Mike knelt in front of Ryan, right there in the school hallway. "Son, you've already done more than any child should have to. You've protected your grandma, tried to protect your mom, and endured so much alone. Now it's time to let the adults handle adult problems." Ryan cried in Mike's arms for several minutes. When he calmed down, he asked, "Will you stay with me when they come to talk?" "I'll stay with you until this is resolved, Ryan. That's my promise." Mike called the social worker Deborah had recommended. He explained the whole situation and scheduled a visit for that same afternoon. Margaret Wilson had 45 years of experience in family crisis cases. When she arrived at the school, Ryan was visibly nervous. "Ryan, my name is Margaret. I'm here because Mr. Johnson told me you're a very brave boy going through some tough times at home. Are you going to take me away?" "No, Ryan. My job is to help solve problems so you can stay with your family and be happy." Margaret spoke with Ryan for nearly an hour. Then she had a private conversation with Mike. "The situation is serious, but it's not irreversible. I'll schedule a home visit to talk with the mother and better understand the family dynamics. I'll also provide guidance on the elderly grandmother's rights and assistance programs that can help with medication costs." "What about Ray?" "If the reports are confirmed that he's taking money from the family and intimidating the child, we'll have to take legal action, but we'll always prioritize keeping the family together." Margaret visited Ryan's home on Thursday afternoon. She found Mrs. Betty in a very weakened state, confirming everything Ryan had shared. Jennifer was present and fully cooperated with the social worker. Ray arrived during the visit. When he realized it was a social worker, he tried to be friendly, but Margaret had the experience to recognize manipulative behavior. "Mr. Ray, I need to talk to you about some reports we've received." "What kind of reports?" about taking money meant for an elderly woman's medication and intimidating a child. Ray visibly tensed up. Who's telling these lies? They're not lies when we have witnesses and evidence. Did you take money that belonged to Ryan to buy his grandmother's medication? I just borrowed it. I was going to pay it all back. When? Ray couldn't answer. Margaret spoke separately with Jennifer and explained that she had the right to decide who lived in her home, especially when it involved the safety of her son and mother-in-law. I didn't know things were this bad, Jennifer said. I thought Ray just had minor gambling issues, not that he was hurting my son. Jennifer, you need to make a decision. Your priority should be your family, your son and Mrs. Betty. That weekend, Jennifer asked Ray to leave the house. He protested, tried emotional blackmail, promised to change, but Jennifer stood firm. Ray, I can't let you keep hurting my son. Ryan has already been through too much for his age. You'll regret this, Jennifer. Who's going to help you pay the bills? I've always paid the bills, Ray. You've never contributed financially to this house. The following Monday, when Ryan got on the bus, Mike immediately noticed the difference. The boy was smiling, walking normally, and sat down without wincing in pain. Ryan, how are things at home? Much better, Mr. Mike. Ray is gone, and my mum is taking care of Grandma Betty. The social worker got a government program to provide her medication for free. And how are you feeling? Relieved. For the first time in a long while, I slept through the night without worrying. Mike smiled, feeling deep satisfaction. What about the money you'd saved? The social worker made Ray return it. He didn't want to, but she said he'd face bigger problems if he didn't. My mum put it in a savings account for emergencies. In the following weeks, Mike kept a close eye on Ryan's family's progress. Margaret made regular visits and enrolled Mrs. Betty in a home assistance program for the elderly. Jennifer managed to cut back on one of her jobs after learning she qualified for social benefits she hadn't known about. This allowed her to spend more time at home caring for her mother and supporting Ryan. Mr. Mike, Ryan said one morning, I wanted to thank you for everything you've done for me. Ryan, you don't have to thank me. Anyone would have done the same. That's not true, Mr. Mike. A lot of people saw I was in trouble and pretended not to notice. You were the only one who truly cared. Mike felt his eyes well up. Ryan, you taught me so much about courage and determination. I'll never forget what you did for your grandmother, and I'll never forget that you helped me when I needed it most. 3 months later, Betty was doing much better. The right medication and proper medical care had stabilized her health. She was walking around the house again and even started cooking. Ryan became a happier, more talkative child. He made new friends at school and regained his interest in playing and studying. The marks from the coins on his skin had healed, but the lessons of responsibility and love for family remained. Jennifer found a better job with more flexible hours, allowing her more time with her family. She also started dating a man named Steve, whom she met at work, and who treated Ryan with kindness and respect. Mike, Jennifer said one day when picking Ryan up from school, I wanted to talk to you. Of course, Jennifer. How can I help? Actually, I'm the one who wants to help. Ryan told me you have a moving service. I thought maybe we could partner up. How so? I know a lot of people who need small moves, home organizing, that kind of thing. I can refer your services, and on weekends when I'm not working, I can help too. Mike was touched by the offer. Jennifer, that would be great. I always need help and I trust you completely. And Ryan can keep helping too if he wants. But now, just for fun, not out of obligation. I do want to help, Ryan chimed in, having overheard. But it's different now. Before I helped because I had to. Now I help because I want to. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps those of us just starting out. Now continuing, 6 months after the first day Mike noticed Ryan's pain when sitting, he received a special invitation, Betty's 70th birthday party. The celebration was simple, held at their home, but full of warmth. Jennifer prepared her mother's favorite dish. Ryan made a special drawing for his grandmother, and even Steve helped with decorations. Mike, Betty said, holding his hands, Ryan told me everything you did for our family. I don't have the words to thank you. Betty, I'm the one who's grateful. Ryan taught me about real love for family. That boy has always been special. Even as a little one, he had a huge heart, but he shouldn't have gone through all that alone. What matters is that you're all doing well now together. Betty smiled. You know, Mike, there's something I want to tell you. Ryan doesn't know this, but I always knew about the coins sewn into his clothes. Mike was surprised. How? A grandmother always knows, my dear. I noticed how carefully he moved, how he avoided hugging me too tight. At first, I thought he was ashamed of me for being sick, but then I realized he was protecting something. Why didn't you say anything? Because I saw he was doing it out of love. I didn't want to take away his satisfaction of feeling like he was helping me, but it broke my heart to see him sacrifice like that. Ryan really is a special kid. He is, and so are you, Mike. It wasn't a coincidence that God put you in his path. During the party, Mike watched Ryan playing with some school friends who'd been invited. The boy was radiant, running around the yard, laughing loudly, just being a carefree 12-year-old. Mr. Johnson, Ryan said, walking up to him, I wanted to tell you something. Go ahead, Ryan. Remember when you asked if I trusted you? I do. At that moment, I was so scared I didn't know if I could trust anyone. But you showed me there are good people in the world, people who help without expecting anything in return. Ryan, you can always count on me. I know, and that's why I want to give you something. Ryan pulled a small $1 coin from his pocket. This was the first coin I ever sewed into my clothes. I kept it as a keepsake. I want you to have it. Mike Johnson took the coin carefully, as if it were the greatest treasure in the world. Ryan, I'll keep it forever. And when I grow up and have my own kids, I'll tell them about the bus driver who saved our family. A year later, Mike got a call from Margaret, the social worker. Mike, I'm calling with good news. Ryan's family was selected as a success story in our department's annual report. What does that mean? It means the work we did with them will serve as an example for other families in similar situations, and you're mentioned in the report as someone who made a difference. I didn't do anything special, Margaret. Mike, you did everything. If you hadn't paid attention, if you hadn't cared, this family could have fallen apart. Ryan could have developed serious health problems. Betty might have died from lack of medication, and Jennifer could have lost her son. Mike was moved by Margaret's words. It's good to know everything worked out. More than worked out. Ryan is one of the top students in his school. Jennifer got a promotion at work. Betty became a volunteer at a senior program, and the whole family is now part of a community project helping other at-risk families. They're helping others. Yes, Ryan talks to other kids about the importance of asking for help when they need it. Jennifer advises single mothers about workers' rights, and Betty teaches sewing to young people at a community center. Mike smiled, remembering how it all started with a simple observation during his school route. Margaret, can I ask you something? Of course. How many families like Ryan's do you help? Too many, Mike, more than we'd like, and we don't always get happy endings like this one. What makes the difference? People like you, people who pay attention, who care, who don't pretend not to see others suffering. That afternoon, when Mike picked up the kids from school, he saw Ryan running toward the bus with a huge smile. Mr. Johnson, I have news. What is it, Ryan? I got an A+ on my essay about everyday heroes. Congratulations, who did you write about? Ryan grinned mischievously. About a bus driver who saves families on the way to school. Mike laughed loudly. Ryan, you're impossible. It's true, Mr. Johnson. My teacher even cried when she read it. She said she'll use my essay as an example for other classes. And what exactly did you write? I wrote that heroes aren't just the ones in movies who fly and have superpowers. A hero is someone who notices others suffering and does something to help. Mike's chest swelled with pride. You're right, Ryan, and you're a hero too. Me? Of course. You sacrificed everything for your grandma, endured pain and discomfort to protect your family. If that's not being a hero, I don't know what is. Ryan thought for a moment. Mr. Johnson, remember when you said I could trust you? I remember. Now I want to say the same thing. If you ever need anything, you can trust me. You can count on me no matter what. Mike glanced in the rearview mirror and saw Ryan sitting comfortably in his seat, chatting animatedly with his friends, with no trace of the pain he used to carry. "Ryan, you've already given me the greatest thing one person can give another." "What?" "You showed me that it's worth caring about others, that small gestures can change entire lives. And you showed me that we don't have to carry all our problems alone, that there's always someone willing to help if we have the courage to ask." 2 years later, Mike received a graduation invitation. Ryan was finishing elementary school and wanted him to be there for the ceremony. "Mr. Johnson," Ryan said after graduation, "I want to ask you something." "Go ahead, Ryan." "Do you remember the day you saw me in pain when I sat down and decided to help me?" "Of course I remember." "What made you notice? Why didn't you pretend not to see, like other people did?" Mike thought for a moment. "You know, Ryan, I think it's because you reminded me of myself when I was a kid." "How so?" "I went through hard times when I was little too. I also had to grow up faster than I should have, and I always dreamed someone would notice my pain and come to help." "Did anyone help?" "Yes, a teacher named Mrs. Patricia. She noticed I came to school hungry and without school supplies. She started bringing extra snacks and lent me books and notebooks." "What happened?" "She changed my life, Ryan. Because of her, I finished school, got my driver's license, found a job. Without her help, I don't know where I'd be today." Ryan smiled. "So you were paying forward the help you got?" "In a way, yes. Mrs. Patricia taught me we can always make a difference in someone's life, even with small gestures." "Where is she now?" Mike grew a little sad. "She passed away 5 years ago, Ryan. But before she left, she told me something I'll never forget." "What?" "She said, 'Mike, I didn't help you so you'd pay me back. I helped so you'd help others when you had the chance.'" Ryan understood perfectly. "And you're keeping that promise?" "I'm trying, Ryan. Every child who steps onto my bus is a chance to make a difference. Mr. Johnson, when I grow up, I want to work helping people too. What kind of work? I'm not sure yet, but I want to do for other families what you did for mine." Mike was moved by Ryan's determination. "I'm sure you'll succeed." "And do you know why I'm sure?" "Why?" "Because you taught me that, to help others, we only need one thing: a heart willing to care." 5 years had passed since that first rainy morning when Mike noticed Ryan's pain as he sat down. The boy was now a 17-year-old teenager, studying for college entrance exams and working part-time as a mentor at a social project. Mike still drove a school bus, but with a new perspective. He'd started a notebook where he recorded observations about students' behavior, especially those who seemed to be struggling. In 5 years, Mike had identified and helped 12 children in various situations: a girl being bullied, a boy with undiagnosed learning difficulties, a child suffering abuse at home, among others. "Mike," Deborah said one morning, "have you noticed you've become a neighborhood reference? Mothers talk about you at the market, bus stops, schools. How so?" "They say you're the driver who really cares about the kids, that you pay attention, that you don't just drive the bus but look after the students." Mike smiled. "Just doing the job right, Deborah." "No, Mike. It's doing far more than the job requires, and that makes all the difference." That day, a new student boarded the bus, a shy girl around 10 years old who sat in the front seat and kept her head down the whole ride. Mike watched her through the rearview mirror and noticed something familiar, the same expression of someone carrying a burden too heavy for their age. When the girl got off at school, Mike decided that the next day he would try to talk to her. After all, he had learned that every child deserves someone who cares about their well-being. "Good luck, little one," Mike murmured as he watched her enter the school. "If you need help, you can count on me." Because Mike had discovered that sometimes the difference between a child's suffering and happiness can lie in the watchful eyes of an adult who cares enough to act. And every morning, when he boarded the bus for another day of work, Mike carried in his pocket the $1 coin Ryan had given him years before. It was his constant reminder that small gestures can have big consequences. End of story. So, dear listener, what did you think of this touching story about Ryan and Mike? Do you think Mike made the right choices in helping the boy? Tell us in the comments. If you have a similar story to share, leave it below. Don't forget to like and, most importantly, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other heartwarming stories. Thanks for joining us.